Well, it's time to glue up at least one side of the top of the workbench. And as you can probably see, they're not exactly the same height. I mean, some of them are a little taller than the others. But the other side is actually very flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the flat side down, and then I will take the top off once it's glued up and plane it, and then it'll all be uniform height. My garage floor where I'm going to be doing the glue up is not exactly level, so what I've done is I've taken a piece of MDF right here, which is pretty straight and flat, and so I'm going to use that as my glue up surface, and that'll hopefully keep those flat side of the top registered to each other. And hopefully when I get it done, I'll have one that's pretty flat, and then I just have to plane off the other side. At least that's the plan. So let's go ahead and start gluing up. So I just finished planing my first table slab for the workbench, and I used just a small block plane to kind of clear some of the larger glue clumps off and stuff. It's an old block plane. I don't care if it damages the blade or not. And I used my my number 5 that I cleaned up. I bought that in an antique store for about 20 bucks and cleaned it up, and it works like a charm. But anyway, so I cleaned this slab up, got it all flattened out now, and what I've done is placed a set of sticks on here. These are just yardsticks that I got at the local Lowe's, I think, and I put some blue tape on the other end of that one. You can see it down there, and I'm just using them as winding sticks because they're the same height. And all they're going to do is, when I sight down, I'm just looking to see if, and I can tell, it's hard to see if it's flat or not. It doesn't show as well on the video here, but they're pretty even. If I got any tilt from one side to the other, that would mean that I have some twist in my board. And if I run it through the planer with twist, then that twist is going to show up on the other side too. So you want to try to get it as flat and untwisted as possible, if that's really a phrase. And so this one is pretty good. So I can take this and run it through the planer. I'm not going to do that until I get the other one glued up and get it flattened, and then I'll do them both at the same time. But anyway, using the winding sticks right there, you just get down low, you sight down them. I actually had this one much further down this way, but that's basically the way you do it. You just kind of get them nice and even, running across in the same place, and you sight down them, and you're looking for twist from one to the other. You're looking for one side to be higher or lower than the other side. So this is pretty good. I can live with what I've got. So now it's time to start gluing up the other deck. Slab. Top. Well, whatever we're calling it. It's time to glue it up. So I'm flattening the tabletop, the second one, and The one thing I'm trying to do, even though it looks really flat and straight and nice now, the one thing I'm trying to do is get this one little area, I don't know if you can see it or not. All right, so there's a couple little areas that look right here. Okay, so if you see this, you see these little lines going across like this? Those are from the jointer, because the jointer is not leaving a perfectly smooth surface because I don't have a nice helical jointer head. So anyway, so those are the blades that, the blades come around and they scoop and scoop and scoop and scoop. And so what happens is it leaves little tiny marks in there. And so what I'm trying to do is get all this planed out, because you can see next to it, this is all planed nice and smooth. So this whole area right in here, all this is smooth, but this area right down in through here, this one board, I can tell is just a touch low because I have not hit those with the planer yet. So I'm going to keep planing this down just a little bit more until I can get that as smooth as the area next to it. That means I'm perfectly flat, and then when I go to put these through the planer, I can have this as my reference surface, and I know that the other side will be perfect because I started off with a perfect side over here. So, all right, a little bit more planing to go. So this piece that I just milled up right here is going to be the front section of the table. Actually, probably this side because it's cleaner. But anyway, this is going to be the very front board that you're going to see on the front of the table. But I needed to do this separately because of the way I'm going to do the mortise, which you'll see later. But I need to have this exact same size as the table slabs. So this is a little thicker than all the rest of them because they've already been kind of planed down with the hand planes and everything. So I'm starting with this one. Then when I get this down to about the same size as the largest one in the slabs, then I'll start running everything through here, and I'll keep a consistent face that way all the way through. All right, so time to start measuring the end of this board, see what the width is here, make sure that it's about the same or just a hair wider than all my other boards, and then I'm going to start pushing them through. All right, so I've got the bench top planed down on both sides. It's pretty equal all the way across. There was one of them that was just a little short, but I'm not going to worry about it because it's going to be on the inside, not on the outside. So I'm not going to worry about it. And also what I did was I planed two boards separately from the large slabs, but at the same dimension, so they're the same height. And the reason I did that is that I'm going to make a couple of dovetail tenons in here for the legs. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut these boards at an angle. So from here, I'll cut an angle here, and I'll cut an angle here, and that tenon will fit inside here with the leg going down. But it's easier, I've seen a lot of people do this, and it's actually easier to make the legs, cut the actual tenon on there, and then basically cut the mortise out from the boards separately. So that's what I'm going to do. I've seen it done. It looks pretty good that way. The bulk of the leg, it'll still be three boards thick on the leg, so I'll have two boards under here plus another tenon on the side. So they'll be very big and beefy legs to hold this thing up. So now actually what I need to do is finish milling up the legs and then get them started to glue up. Okay, I got all the legs run through the jointer. I jointed off of the face that is on this side, so all of these are the faces that I use for the joining side. So I know that this joint right here is 90 degrees. And so that way when I lay this down to cut it on the table saw, I'll put this edge against the fence, this edge against the table, and that should give me a nice squared up cut across this way. All I'm doing now is I'm looking for the shortest width board, because I will use that as the base for all of the other ones, so that I can basically not have to do as much milling when I get done. All right, so to get my tabletop at 37 inches above the ground, I need to have my tenon at 37 inches, the top of my tenon, because this is actually going to be sticking up flush with the top of the table surface right here. And this is actually going to be the front face of the table. These are going to be flush with the front edge of the table. So this tenon is actually going to be sticking out. It's going to be a dovetail tenon sticking out and being flush with the top of the table. So this right here represents the top of the table from the end of the board down there. The tabletop itself is 3 5/8 inches thick. So I've struck a line right here to measure down from this mark to here at 3 5/8 to account for the thickness of the table. This is going to be my shoulder. So the tenon, I left a little extra right here on the tenon. I left a little extra. So basically this is going to be the tenon, and then this is going to be the shoulder that the table is going to rest on. So it's going to run down that way. So basically all I have to do now is chop these down right here, chop this one off right here. I'm going to leave a little extra just so I can cut it at the top of the table when I get everything put together. So this is the critical cut right here, this one, and then a little extra on this one, and then I can go ahead and glue these up. So let me get measuring and gluing and get these in some clamps.